And after months of grueling and nerve-wracking campaigning, the Electoral Commission declared Nana Akufo-Addo as the President-elect of the Republic of Ghana. And this report, Wendy throws a searchlight on some of the themes that run through the concession speech of the incumbent John Dramani Mahama and the victory speech of President-elect Nana Addo.
Of so much anxiety and tension, the Electoral Commissioner declared the results. This was followed by speeches from the President-elect and the incumbent President. Both leaders expressed their utmost respect for each other and emphasized the need for unity. This underscored the essence of mutual respect and the fact that politics must unite us. Hopefully, this will manifest in political transition that is expected to commence soon. They also took biblical and religious turns, thanking God and country for the support and opportunity to serve in the high office of President. Family unit has always been an integral component of leaders' success. The President-elect and the incumbent thanked their nuclear and extended family members. Vice presidential candidates, campaign team members, political parties and supporters were not forgotten. They both had words of praise for the Electoral Commissioner and the Commission, and for those awaiting the implementation of campaign promises, the President-elect had some reassuring words.
I make this solemn pledge to you. I will not let you down and will do all in my power to live up to your hopes and expectations.
And now, under the new amendment of the Presidential Transition Act 2012, the outgoing president and his vice would be required to vacate the official bungalows 1 month before swearing in of the new president on January 7. The bill, as passed, will also grant the office of the Administrator General legal powers to forcefully evict an outgoing president and his or her vice when they exceed the grace period. In the following interview, we look at the challenges of the transition exercise. I'm sure that will come on in a moment. And right now with us in the studio, we have been joined by Dr. Eric Odro Osai. He local government expert. Doc is right with here. Doc, good to see you.
Good to see you, Abu.
I'm sure this is a critical moment. In the past, we have seen how transition teams have worked. What are your expectations?
Thank you very much. I think this is the first time in the history of the Republic of Ghana that we're going to implement or operationalize the new Presidential Transitional Act. My expectation is that it will be very, very smooth, because when you look at the Act, it requires the incumbent president to have developed the handing over notes and make the handing over notes available to the Administrator General 30 days before we go into the elections. So I was expecting that this should be ready. And then when you look at Section 1 of the Act, it requires the incumbent president to, within 24 hours of declaring the results. So ideally, I am expecting the incumbent president to constitute the transitional team by the evening of Saturday today. Because
are you aware it has happened? Do you know?
I don't know. As at the time of entering the studio, I've not heard anything about that. And then the composition of the transitional team from his side should be the Attorney General, the Minister responsible for Finance, Minister responsible for Local Government, Minister responsible for Defense, Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs, Minister responsible for National Security, and then the head of Local Government Service, and then the head of the Civil Service. Now, the incumbent president and the president-elect will have to co-chair, and they are expected to work towards ensuring that there will be a smooth transition. And I'm expecting this to happen.
I think I heard John Mahama talk about the transition team and the cooperation that he would give to make sure the incoming president actually understands what the situation is before he comes. But what would be the main challenges, I mean, from your perspective?
Yeah, the main challenges would be, one, whether the handing over note is available. Because that will form the fundamental document that the transitional teams will be working on. And then two, the early composition of the team is important. So we'd expect His Excellency President Mahama to announce his team. Then the President-elect Nana Akufo-Addo would also announce his team. Then the two of them would agree on where they will be meeting. It's very important. So that is the challenge. If we don't have those fundamentals right, we're going to get it wrong. And I don't expect it to be wrong. But, you know, this is the first time we are implementing it, so we should hasten slowly and then
Right.
make sure that we do it right.
I'm sure from what we know at the moment, the president and the vice had to vacate 1 month straight away. I mean, but looking at the date from today, it looks as if we have less than a month.
Yes, we do. We have less than a month, and I'm sure
Right.
I'm sure that we have to give allowance for some of these things. You know, because this is the first time we are implementing the law. If we want to apply the law strictly, it will be difficult a thing to do. But I can also say that if really the president, the vice president, and other appointees really want to comply strictly to the law, they can vacate if they want to. I'm sure some of them have even started vacating.
Right. So, what should the NPP expect from the NDC, looking at what has been going on so far in terms of projects, in terms of development, and so what should they really be looking up to? What kind of dossier should they expect from the NDC?
Well, okay, I'm expecting the NPP to expect a dossier full of infrastructure, full of work in progress, full of outstanding policies, and then full of debt, because a lot was borrowed to finance infrastructure. So I'm expecting them to receive that. And I'm sure that after receiving it, they may also want to go through areas that they don't understand. They can seek clarity so we can move the process forward. So they should expect that dossier.
Right. So what extent is the transition period critical to the next government? To what extent?
The transitional period is so critical that if we don't get it right, the next president, the next government would suffer, because it forms the baseline. It gives an indication of the status quo. It tells you where you are taking over from. It is the balance sheet based on which you will be judged. So it is very important. If you're not taking over from anywhere, it becomes difficult. But you should be able to take over from somewhere. So that document is the baseline based on which you're going to build the country. So it's so critical.
Right, Doc, you know, when you look at the promises that the NPP, you know, has made, and the projects that the NDC is also undertaking, I'm sure there's going to be a difference in terms of expectations. Definitely.
Ghanaians would have different expectations. But when you look at our constitution, the constitution requires of subsequent government to, as far as practicable, continue projects that were commenced by previous government. And I must say that most of the projects the previous government commenced were good projects.
Right.
So it would be good for the upcoming administration to continue. That notwithstanding, they have also made some serious promises to Ghanaians. So they would also have to align it. So I'm expecting that in the first year of administration, they will come up with an annual plan and a budget that would help them to bring proper closure to those that have been commenced by the previous government, and then initiate processes that would help them implement theirs. It is not an easy thing when it comes to transition, but then they should do it in such a way that at the end of the day, Mother Ghana will not suffer, average Ghanaians will not suffer. We'll see a smooth transition and we'll see continuity when it comes to development.
You said you were expecting a smoother transition this time. You remember the 2008 boycott. Why this time? Is the atmosphere more friendly? I mean, is there more cooperation?
Well, I can tell you that there's more cooperation. Right. I can tell you that with the legal framework, it can regulate a number of things. I can tell you that people can no more go to people's homes to seize cars and chase them out. No. There is a legal framework, and nobody can come out and say that this asset is missing, this person has taken this, because we have an administrator general who is expected to be responsible and in charge of state assets. You know, so there is some level of coordination and sanity in the system now than before.
Do you have this one piece of? Do you have an idea who will be chairing the transition team from Nanado's point and also from, you know, John Dramani Mohammed's?
That I have no idea at all. I know that in law, Nanado himself is expected to chair. The President Mahama, is expected to chair. Both of them are supposed to co-chair. But the law also allows them to delegate their position to other members of the committee. So I'm expecting Nanado to bring out an experienced person who understands the issues of governance and who has ever participated in a transitional work process before to do that. I'm expecting His Excellency President Mahama to do that. And the best person from President Mahama's side would be his Chief of Staff, because he can see almost everything and he may have control over a lot of things.
Dr. Wilson, grateful
my brother.
Thank you for taking us through. Dr. Eric Osai taking us through the transition process, which is about to start work anytime soon. You're watching News 360.